Alrighty. We're back. This is not going to be too long of a stream because A, it's late, and B, I've got a bit of a migraine after watching that game. No, just in general. Good result from us, and as I said, just phenomenal for us to be 2 points clear in the top 4 now. We're going to be talking about some of the players that played today. Certain ones I want to highlight in terms of good performances, certain ones I want to highlight in terms of bad performances. But also we're going to do the bingo card, because the bingo card is coming soon. We are back. Let me pop out the chat, because I can see you guys are talking in there already. Boop. Right. So yeah, as I said, not going to spend too much time tonight, because I said I've got this horrible migraine churning me in the head. So if I misspeak and we're being a bit slow, that's why. Let's go to this screen and let's talk about the bingo first. Now my camera's going to be in the way for a little bit here. I do apologise. Let me just move that out of the way. I can move it back. Let's do the bingo card. So we need to get the pen out. Freed from Sanchez jail. I'm so glad that I get to say this. Oh, why is it that colour? That's weird. There we go. Let's get it that colour. There you go, now you can see it. We are finally free from the Sanchez jail. Jurgensen started the game and actually did pretty well today, I would say. Like his time wasting at the end of the game. I think there's I think that one particular long ball up to Guiu at the end, beautiful. And just in general, he looked a lot more calmer. Looked a lot more calmer than Sanchez has in the last few games. No mistakes from him. Lovely. We do not get a Cuckoo Golazo. We nearly did on a couple of occasions, so that's unfortunate. Why are you there? I'm going to tick this off because of one situation where they nearly scored from it. It would have been offside, but there was a situation where Guiu was at right back for some reason. I think it was following a set piece, so he was at the front post, but he was playing at right back for a bit, so that's fun. Tosin or Josh, we did not get those two. No, we didn't get Josh, rather, but we did get Tosin playing, so he gets the mark off here. Reece, goal/assist, we didn't get this, unfortunately. Again, very good crossing from the right-hand side from him today. Definitely could have got an assist or two if our forwards were a bit more proactive. We don't get that. Palmer returns. Now, I will admit, in the first half, and for the majority of the start of the second half, I was very, very sceptical about Palmer, and I was saying that it was another kind of game where he was ghosting a bit and wasn't really getting involved. But he decided to turn up in the last about 35 minutes. So I'm going to count that as a check off, because he returned to his form. Last week's scapegoat. Who was last? I mean, last week's scapegoat was Sanchez, so we can't take that off because he wasn't even playing. Yeah. Caicedo booked for a clean tackle. I know he definitely got penalised or called up for a foul for something that was absolutely not a foul, but I don't think he got booked today. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not sure. We got the Noni special. We did get this once, I believe, so I'm gonna take that off. Unlikely goal scorer. Well, we got an own goal technically, so I'm gonna count that. I mean, in fact, even Neto, you could class Neto as an unlikely goal scorer because he doesn't really score for us that much. Player booked for dissent, we did see this. I think it was Palmer that got booked for dissent. He had a few choice words for Stuart Atwell, which I enjoyed. We didn't have a big fight, but we did have a mini fight, and it actually kind of sparked a bit of our energy and proactivity in this game, because there was a scrap between, who was it? I think it's probably Colwell, knowing him, but there was a scrap between someone in the middle of the park just before. It was literally just before we scored our equaliser. Maresca ball in full flow. We did see a bit of this at times, but not fully, so I'm not going to take that off. I can't believe I'm going to be saying this, but VAR costs us. Absolutely not. Although I will say one thing. Why does it take them 7 minutes to review every single one of our goals? That doesn't happen to any other team. It's really weird. It's like the way that VAR operates at Stamford Bridge is completely different to how it operates at every other stadium. In every other stadium, they check to see if there's an infringement and then go, nope, okay, well, we'll continue playing. For us, it seems like they go through every single microsecond of the goal and try and find something that can rule out the goal. They don't do it for other teams. Very, very weird. But we didn't get that today, so that's nice. Enzo assist. I don't think. Oh, I don't think it's an Enzo assist, but I know he's the one who takes the shot before it ricochets to Neto, so I'm gonna count it. I'm gonna count it. Screw it. If my camera would flip upside down right now, we'd get a bingo. That'd be great. Cucurella booed because lol. I don't think I heard any boos for Cucurella, which is weird. I'm not sure if any of you guys heard any, but then again, I said I'm suffering from a horrific headache, so I had my volume quite low. I didn't particularly hear any. Someone scores a worldie. We didn't get a worldie. I think most of the goals were pretty scrappy. Winger to winger, this always happens. I need to actually, to be fair, I should take this off because this happens all the time. We did get Guyu. Guyu. This is funny. We did get an appearance on Mark Guyu, and he actually played really, really well. We'll talk about him a little bit later. Again, I haven't flipped upside down yet, so that's not going to be there. Harry Potter reference. I wasn't watching the Sky commentary. They usually do this, so I'm not sure if there was. I didn't see this. Grass is always greener. This is a perfect example of this. Where I always use the example of Madueke and Neto when it happened today, where everyone's been saying for weeks and weeks and weeks leading up to the last few games that Madueke should be starting, that he's the better dribbler and stuff, blah, blah, blah. And then today, Pedro Neto comes on, scores a goal, and then everyone says, see, this is why Pedro should be playing. And it's just like, well, the grass is always greener on the other side. Nicholas' frustration, we did get this when he came off. Admittedly, I think it's more to the fact that he was injured, rather than him actually being frustrated, but there we are. Bob Marley chant, I didn't hear one. And for the free space, I'm going to put this as the referee getting bundled over in the middle of the park, because that was really funny, and I wish that happened more often, to be honest. That was the biggest cheer that the Stamford Bridge crowd had all game, was for Stuart Atwell getting put on his arse. So there we go. And the camera, I got through the whole thing and the camera didn't flip upside down, so there we go. Unfortunately, we can't take this off. Let us move to the actual true feeling blue part of this. I'm so behind. Sorry, my brain is not working. And I can move myself over. Oop. Back to the center. I'm a little bit non-central. Now, I haven't actually gotten my 7 points, as I would usually do, but I do want to just talk about certain players. So this is not going to be structured as much as it would usually be, but we'll talk about some players. I think the first thing we need to talk about, because I like to get the negatives out of the way, I'm going to move Levi Colwill into the bad box, but very, very close to the medium box, just because I don't think overall he had too bad of a game. In fact, I think he was actually doing pretty well until he made that mistake, and then he started making a few more after that. You kind of get into your own head and make mistakes after you've done that. And it's kind of, again, I don't feel it's too much on him, because he's having to play this weird style now that Wesley Fofana is injured, where he's having to be the aggressive one and push up, and it's really obviously not his style of play. As someone pointed out earlier, he was tracking Kudus up to the right wing at times, and it was very, very bizarre. But yeah, I don't think he had the greatest game, and just because his mistake led to a goal, he goes in here. But apart from that, I don't think he was too bad. That's the only thing that's going to go in here. As for, I kind of want to put. See, my brain says I want to put Jackson in one of the boxes, but I just don't think he had as much of a, like, I don't think he was overwhelmingly bad, and I don't think he was overwhelmingly good either. I just don't think his performance was worth mentioning, and obviously he got injured halfway through the game, so it doesn't really feel fair to judge him that way. So I'm going to ignore him. Let's talk about, someone's mentioned him in chat there. Let's talk about, where is he? Enzo Maresca. I'm putting Enzo Maresca in the good box today. Because as like you guys have just pointed out, proactive subs are what I like to see. Admittedly, one of them was a bit forced with obviously Jackson getting injured, but I like to see him trusting Guyu. I like to see him trusting his bench players, because we haven't seen that in a while. It always seemed like for this window, it was kind of like that he was trying to signal to the board that he needed more help. And now it's at the end of the window, and it's kind of like, well, that's not going to happen. he's like, screw it then, we'll just use the bench. Very early substitutions from him, and not just the substitutions, but the tactical changes that he made during those substitutions, particularly the inversion and or rather the flip side of the inversion, the out version, should we say, of Kukureya going out wide to the left and Nkunku coming on in the inside channel. I think that was particularly interesting. I'll break that down a little bit later as I kind of get into the tactical side of things in later videos. But yeah, so very good from Maresca today. And again, the thing which is also important for me is not just the fact that he made the substitutions, not the fact that these substitutions were impactful, not just because these substitutions were well timed, but I'm very happy with the game management that he had, because it's been something that we've been criticising him for recently, is that he seems to, or has for the last few weeks, is seemingly unable to kind of see out results, and we've been conceding a lot of second half goals and kind of failing to get results where we should be getting results. And today was a complete opposite of that, where he managed the game really well. His substitutions were good in terms of being able to hold on to the lead, and the actual just the tactics to say, hey, screw it, we don't need all these offensive players on the pitch anymore, let's just defend what we have. Love that from him. Very, very good. Let's talk about who else. A player that I think might have gone under the radar today, if you weren't particularly watching him. I definitely watched him for the majority of the game, and I think he was one of the best players on the pitch, and that's Enzo Fernandez. I think in the first half he was very unlucky in the fact that he was trying to make things happen, and they just kind of weren't going his way. But his link up in the second half on the right hand side with Neto and Gusto was really, really good. His ability to actually kind of, hey, get his head up and say, hey, I'm going to try and progress the ball, because no one else really wanted to do that today. Very, very good from him. And again, even though he doesn't get any goal contributions, I think that he helped keep the tempo of the game up, and it was one of those things where not only is he keeping the game up and being keeping the tempo up in an offensive side of the game, but also his defense of him coming back and actually trying to help and putting a shift coming backwards as well. I think he the camera zoomed. I don't have my, where is my, oh, here it is. It zoomed again. Boom. That doesn't count as the Australia, unfortunately, but we might have to do one for the zoom as well. I'm gonna have to buy myself a new camera. I don't know why it does this. It's just it's just weird. I have no clue. There's some glitch with my. I don't even know if it's actually the camera itself. It might just be the software. I might have to update my drivers or something. But yeah, really, really good from Fernandez today. And as someone else has said, likewise for Caicedo. I feel bad for Caicedo because like he's such a good footballer, and he puts in an 8 or 9 out of 10 every single game, to the point where it's so it doesn't jump out to you as like, oh, I need to talk about this, because he does it every week. So I usually don't actually put him in any of the boxes, because he just kind of does standard performances. But yeah, again from him, really, really good. And it's especially impressive to me that we had such a good, as you said, industrious kind of midfield and hard-working midfield today, because we saw how easily they got completely ran through against City. And I think that was a very big kind of boost for them to be like, you know what, we've got a second wind, we're actually going to start being able to play and outmatch other midfields. Amugu contract has been signed, yeah. So that's the thing that's gone through. I didn't actually get to like talk about him much in my pre-match stream, because I went off on a tangent, and my ADHD brain never got me back onto the tangent. But yeah, he looks, from what I've kind of watched, he looks very, very impressive. He's a player that, the thing which is, oh god, this is something I'm a bit of a sucker for. The thing which he does a lot, which I really enjoy, and even though, again, this is, take what I'm about to say with a pinch of salt, because obviously this is against youth teams and very low level opposition that he's been playing, because he is very young and he's only just kind of broken into the Saint Etienne first team. But the thing which he does, which I absolutely love, is he loves a sliding tackle. I love players that like to slide in and like get the ball, and he's very lengthy. I think he's listed as 5'10", I believe, but he looks a lot taller than that, and obviously he's 18, so he's going to grow. Yeah. So, sorry, I got on a tangent with him. I'll do a more in-depth talk about our new signings at some point, but leading on to what you guys are saying, because he was another player that I was going to be putting in here. Uncle Tosin. because what a absolutely meteoric rise that he has had in a Chelsea shirt in these last few weeks. He's been so good, and not only the fact that I said this before, he's had to step up in the absence of Wesley Fofana. Not only has he had to step up in the fact that he is that unk that we like to talk about. He's obviously the oldest player in the team, and he's having to be this kind of leader. And not only is he a vocal leader on the pitch, but in the dressing room too, for these young players. But he's just been setting such a good example with the way that he just kind of goes about his business, and he doesn't do anything too flashy. He doesn't do anything too phenomenal. He's not going to be doing, as I said with Amadou, he's not going to be sliding in and doing all these massive tackles and things like that. But he's very good at just kind of snuffing out the danger before it happens, reading things. Obviously, winning his aerial duels is something that he's so good at. But then, of course, absolutely saving our bacon with a phenomenal block at the end of the game, and that block alone gets him into the good box, because that would have completely ruined our night, and I would have been sitting here crying, or in fact I probably wouldn't have actually be sitting here streaming, because I probably wouldn't have bothered streaming with the fact that I had a migraine and we hadn't won the game. But there we are. That was but yeah, very good from Unk. It's good to see as well that, like, because we knew that when he played at Fulham, we knew he was a good player, and obviously he just kind of didn't seem like he had settled into he hadn't really settled into the team. But now he's playing in this kind of central role where he can kind of be a bit more himself, and he's not pushed out to the right hand side because James is staying fit. We're really seeing the best of him, and again, it's good to see a free transfer as well paying off, because obviously we didn't pay anything for him, and he's putting in good performances week after week now. Yeah, and I think at some point we probably will revert to Colwill, Tosin and Chalobah, depending on whether Reece can kind of stay fit, and maybe we play Reece in like a midfield position, or as a right wing back or something like that. Maybe we see that, as you said, back three is absolute Chelsea heritage. I'm a personal big fan of back threes in general, because of the balance. Whenever I play like a career mode or a Football Manager save or anything like that, I always do a three at the back, because it's just like my favorite type of like formation. I don't know why. But there we are. Let's talk about another player that I think we need to give credit to today, because him and his contribution, as well as another player. In fact, I'll lump them both in at the same time. I'll talk about them both individually, of course, but oh my goodness, what was that? What was that just happened? I heard the Stamford Bridge clapping in my headphones. Uh, I don't know what that was. I got an alert. I apologize. Oh, someone subscribed. Thank you for subscribing to the channel. The pseudo, that is. God, I got thrown off I forgot I had enabled. I completely forgot that I'd enabled alerts on my stream, and that threw me for a loop. I'm not sure who the official man of the match was, actually. I haven't seen that. I'll have to check. But as I was saying, I'm going to be lumping them both together, but Neto especially, because obviously he gets the first goal and gets us forward. But where is Mr. Mark Guiu? For a kid that is, I think he's 19 now, only just turned 19, because it was his birthday. So it was his birthday recently, to come on and to be like, you know what, screw it, I'm going to be the better striker today, because he was. And you guys know me, I'm a big Nicholas Jackson defender. He was absolutely 10 times the player Jackson was today. Genuinely, it was so good, and not just the fact that, again, he puts in the effort and he presses and he tries to scrap and he tries to kind of win the ball, but his hold-up play today was really good. Genuinely, his link-up with Nkunku especially, I think those two had a little bit of a nice connection building with the kind of bounce off me kind of play style. It really reminded me of kind of what we used to see with Hazard and Giroud, where they used to bounce off each other really well. Guiu was doing the same thing, but Guiu is such an interesting profile to me, because he can play that way and be that strong kind of stand-up striker and let players play off him, but you can also run in behind and be a terror. I think that yeah, like you said, I think that Jackson's just been in a bit of a slump today, or in recent weeks, and today I think was kind of culmination of, like, everyone's been getting on his back recently, and he's got so much pressure to kind of perform for such a big club, and I feel like he really got into his own head today. And obviously the injury doesn't help when you're it's just one of those really unlucky things, isn't it? When you're already in a bad form and you're already desperate to get goals and desperate to do well, you have a couple of slips, the crowd gets on your back, and then you get injured. It's just like, oh, felt really bad for him. But Guiu stepped up today and really proved, Crimson just said, we don't need to bring in another striker. We really don't, for at least for now. Until we decide to go for an actual big summer signing, I don't think we need to bring anyone in, because Guiu has proven that he can play that way. And against a team in West Ham that, despite not being a very good team, not doing too well this season, they do have those really annoying types of players that are really bustly and kind of hard for young strikers to kind of play into. And I thought that he played really, really well today. As I said, the thing which you really want to see from bench players is not just making impacts with goals and assists, but also just trying to kind of change the way that the game is being played and change the tempo of the game. And he really, really did that with the fact that he was really up for just running at people like he always is, along with my personal man of the match for the game, Pedro Neto. Yeah, I think this is Potter's first loss actually, and this is ironically that it's against Chelsea, isn't it? But yeah, so Neto again, he's another one. He came off the bench, and even though when he kind of started on the left side, it wasn't like, it's one of those things where I see him on the left and I'm like, can we not? Because he's not very good on the left hand side. We always say like, oh, Neto can play on both sides, but he really can't. He's so much better on the right. And when he does get swapped over to the right hand side, when Nkunku comes on and Madueke comes off, we see the best of him, because this is the type of thing that we can get to see from Neto on the right hand side, is the fact that he's so deadly with his balls into the box, because his crosses are so good that he's a threat going on the inside, so people are afraid to let him on the inside. But what that does is that allows him to run around the outside, where he's got that burst of pace to beat a man and try and put the ball in on his right foot. And because he was doing that so often and trying to get it onto his right foot and burst down the line, he was allowed that avenue to kind of cut inside on his left foot, put in a really, really good ball, and though we don't get a goal from it, obviously Enzo's shot gets blocked. He follows his cross, and this is really important, because I think that's something that our forwards don't do very often, is that they don't follow shots in enough and try and like get on the rebounds of things. We see that quite a lot with other teams. For us, it doesn't really happen. It's really nice to see Neto following his own ball, getting into the box, and then getting a tap in. Yeah, his performance against Arsenal was definitely better, I would say that, but I think he's finding a niche now for himself, that he comes off the bench in London derbies and scores goals. So I mean, if we could play a London club every week, and there is quite a lot of them, I think he'll be fine. But yeah, really good from him. Is there anyone else that I want to talk about before we wrap this up and we do our poll? Is there anyone up? I've got all my players everywhere. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So I do need a 7th point. Who should we talk? Oh, Palmer, of course. Let's talk about Palmer. Because again, I do really want to put. I'm not going to do this. Because I know that people in the chat will get really mad. I really want to put him here, because I don't think he had a very good first half, and I don't think he had a particularly good first half of the second half. But he really turned up in the second half of the second half, so I am going to put him here. Of course, he gets the goal. Well, they counted it as an own goal, and I think that's stupid, because it doesn't. You can't really tell if the shot come cross is actually on target or not from the replay. It doesn't. It looks like it's going towards the corner, but then obviously it kind of looks like it might fade away from the corner. It doesn't travel far enough for you to be able to tell. So for him to be for him to like kind of not be credited the goal is kind of annoying, but there we go. He does technically get the goal that gives us the victory here. So that's why he has to go in here. A lot of people are going to say Cucurella, and I've seen some people say Cucurella. Again, like Caicedo, he's a player where now we just kind of expect this from him, and the type of performances he puts in terms of him kind of being tenacious, getting the ball back, just being an absolute terror, and also, of course, popping up in the box in the opposite area and kind of being a nuisance that way. We've come to expect it, and he's been doing it so well all season that I don't think his performance today was particularly like outstanding, because he does it every week. Just part of the reason why I'm not going to be put Cucurella in here, but do think that he played really well as well. As I said, I could talk about a lot of players. I just want to talk about the 7 that I kind of thought about. So I feel like this is harsh. I feel like putting Colwill in bad is really harsh if I've put Palmer in the good box. Oh, I'm in a good mood. Screw it. I'm in a good mood. We'll put Colwill here. Oh yeah, he was definitely trying to cross. Palmer has this this technique to his crosses where he always tries to drill it low. He rarely tries to put the if it's on his if he's on the left hand side, he'll always try and drill the ball low, and I think that's what he tried to do there. But obviously, Wan-Bissaka hits it, it deflects into the goal. I don't really care as long as it ends up in the back of the net. To be fair, I don't care if it comes off of or it comes off of an opposition player. I don't care if it comes off the post. I don't care if it comes off a beach ball that's been thrown onto the pitch. As long as it gets into their net and we win games and we score goals, I'm perfectly happy. So there we are. But yeah, we'll run the poll, and I'll take a sip of my coffee whilst I let you do this. Start the poll. So you guys can vote for your true blue, who you think is the man of the match, or just anyone else that you personally like. I'm going to be putting in 4 players from the 5 that are in the good box, and I'm going to omit Palmer just because I don't think he has. There's an argument for Palmer to go into the medium box for me. But I think it's pretty straightforward who's going to win this, personally. Well, I have my own biases. Now we've got, back-to-back games against Brighton. And you know what's really funny about the Brighton game? The Brighton games. You remember earlier in the season when I said, oh, this is a bit weird. We've got a game in the league versus Newcastle, and then a game in the cup against Newcastle. And I was like, I think that's the first time that's ever happened. And, as the old saying goes, I don't know if you guys out here that aren't Londoners use this term, but there's a common saying over here is that it's like a London bus, which basically means that when you want one, it's not there, and when you don't want one, there's 2. So like, this is the same thing that's happened with the Newcastle game, where I'm like, this has never happened before, and then 2 come along at the same time. Yeah, I think they are both away games. They're both at St James's, which is horrific for us because that's the stadium we never do well in, and to be honest, no one ever really does well in because it's a bloody horrible atmosphere to go to up there, up in the north. So, yeah, definitely getting the Cucurella Boo bingo spot next game. Yeah, that's a guarantee. I'll have to think of some more to put on the bingo card. And as I said, I kind of ask before I do the bingo cards, or whilst I'm doing the bingo cards, I ask the Discord for any suggestions. So if you want to, wait, what am I talking? I was so confused. I was talking about Newcastle, and I've put my you've just that's exactly what's just happened there. Sorry, I've told you my headache has taken me over. It's at Brighton. That's in the south, down at the coast, not at the north. That's Newcastle. But yeah, we've got the even going to Brighton away is also a horrible prospect for us in general. Would you rather lose the FA Cup match or Prem match against them? 100%, I'd rather lose the FA Cup match. I would prefer us not to lose either, but yeah, I would sacrifice the cup for the league 100% because qualification in the top 4 and your UCL qualification is so important for us this year. You could put a Sanchez cheer option because they'll call him Agent Bob. To be honest, if he plays against them, I will be very, very shocked because we know how they get on his back and we know how shaky he can be without people getting on his back. So I don't think he'll play. I really hope that this is a turning point in terms of Maresca fielding Jurgensen for the rest of the season. We kind of saw this with Poch, right? With Sanchez getting injured, and obviously Petrovic came in and then never came back out. I think, to be fair, Sanchez will probably play in the cup game. If we're doing it the same way we've kind of done, if we're doing it the kind of same way that we've done it recently, with obviously Jurgensen playing all the rotational games and Sanchez playing the Prem games, if we're now flipping that and Jurgensen's playing the Prem games, I think that Sanchez will play in the cup game, but in the Prem game, I'll be very surprised if he does. As I said, I think we've got that turning point now, and it was very obvious to me, at least, from the kind of interview that Maresca did at the start of the game or before the game, where they obviously asked him. They were like, "Oh, you've dropped Sanchez for Jurgensen," and the smile on his face that picture painted 1,000 words to me. That, as I've been saying, I think there's been certain things that Maresca has been told from the board to do, and he's kind of had to say, "Okay, yes, we'll do that," which he doesn't really want to do. And I think playing Sanchez is one of those, because he looked absolutely delighted to finally be able to say, "Yes, Sanchez is not playing. I've finally been given the go ahead from the guys up top that actually dropped this guy. He doesn't have to play anymore." Yeah, Jurgensen wasn't really tested, admittedly. Yeah, like you said, but I think he was rather comfortable with the ball at his feet, and that's the main thing. Because as I said, we never really have complaints when it comes to Sanchez. When it comes to his shot stopping, I think he's a very, very good shot stopper. But it's just the fact that he has two things that don't go well for him: is that his distribution is not always great, and the fact that his concentration levels are just never there. He just always has some kind of bozo moment in him. Whether we get punished for that or not is another story, and more often than not this season they have gone punished, but. Youngson doesn't really get that. Yeah, he doesn't need to get tested to randomly pass the opposition. Exactly. As I said, it's kind of, I think, a good thing for us to do this season, or for the rest of the season, is do what we've been doing with Jorgensen and Sanchez, but the other way around. So Sanchez can play in the Conference League. I don't think that they're ever gonna the teams that we come up against in the Conference League are ever going to be too much of a threat. That's gonna make him have to kind of he's not going to have to make those mistakes. I don't think he'll be cut under any pressure, but if they do have a couple of shots, he'll be able to save them, because I said he is a decent shot stopper to his credit. But for games in the Premier League where you need someone that is really, really good on the ball and very, very calm in those types of situations, I think Jurgensen is just by far the better option there. So hopefully yeah, and this is a thing which is kind of sad about Jurgensen, right? And I mentioned this. This was one of the things that used to be on the bingo card a lot, was that Jurgensen's clean sheet gets stolen from him. And it's the same thing that happened today. I don't think he can really do much for all of the goals he has conceded this season, or at least most of them. I don't think he's had an absolute a single chance to save any of them. Like, genuinely, they've all been either let down by our defense or from like a random deflection or something that he can't stop. So I don't think I feel like he's been a bit hard done by there, but hopefully he can get a run of games at least. Who was I talking about before I went off on that tangent? Oh, if only my brain would let me remember. Um, but yes, we've got the two cup games against Brighton, not against Newcastle. I was talking about Newcastle earlier. That's why I got the two mixed up. We've got the two games against Brighton. Is the cup game before the league game, or is it the other way around? Let me check that actually. Because I forget. The cup game is before the Prem game. So we've got the cup game on the Saturday. It's another 8 o'clock kickoff. So very late kickoff there. And it's actually on Valentine's, our Prem game against them. So hopefully that's very funny. It's a very, very love-hate relationship between us and Brighton at the moment, isn't it? I said, because that's Valentine's, I might not be able to do a preview. I'm not sure, but we'll see how that goes. And then after that we've got Villa, and after that we've got Southampton. So yeah, we could have a really good run here of game, and then we've got Leicester and then Arsenal. We could have a very good run of games here and get some very valuable points before we face the bigger teams that we're going to be coming up against later on. So that's pretty good. Let us do the True Blue. Let's end the poll. And I think 52% of you, or maybe it might be a little bit more than that, let's see. 52% have voted for Pedro Neto, I believe, if it will come up in chat. Are you going to come up in chat? Poll? Where's the poll gone? I've ended it. Where is it gone? It usually comes up in the chat. Where is it? Oh no, why is it doing this? Well, I saw it said the top result was Neto, so we're going to put Neto in. But there we go. We'll figure out what the percentage is at some other point. I think it was like 50. I'm pretty sure it said 52% when I checked. I didn't get to see the other guys, but oh, there we go. Now it's up. True Blue. It says Neto 52%, Gyu 21, Tosin 17, and Enzo 8. Lovely. Yeah, this is who I would personally vote for my man of the match as well, if not Enzo, because I think Enzo was very, very good. But obviously Neto came on and he really changed the game, got us back into the game, got us our 3 points, got us into the top 4, and got us 2 points clear. And yeah, we move on to, as I said, the cup game at Brighton, which I think Sanchez probably will start. We move on to that, and yeah, hopefully we can get victory there, progress in that competition too. Do want to progress in every single competition, but to be fair, it would be nice for us to just be able to focus on the league and get top 4. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out as ever. As I said, I'm probably going to do a tactical piece on this game at some point during the next few days before that Brighton game. But yeah, I've got to go because my brain is scrambled and my migraine is really taken out of me. But yeah, thank you guys for hanging out as ever. Hope you guys enjoy the rest of your evenings or mornings or whatever time it is over where you guys are. And yeah, keep the blue flag flying high as ever. Come on, you Blues.